Hi, today my speech is going to be over child abuse. About 10 years ago, my daughter was murdered by a babysitter. She was charged with neglected dependence for the abuse of cracking her skull in 3 areas of her head. She received 10 years to 5. She's currently out, and I'm praying that this doesn't happen to someone else's child now that she has been released. And that's why I decided to partake in this topic today, because I want to educate you on child abuse, which is also another form of physical abuse. When you put your hands on a child, it is considered physical abuse. There are also emotional abuse, but today I really want to discuss physical abuse. Physical abuse is considered a non-accidental trauma or physical injury caused by punching, beating, kicking, biting, burning, or otherwise harming a child. Physical abuse is the most visible form of child ill treatment. A lot of times, physical abuse comes from inappropriate use of physical discipline. A parent or caretaker, mostly times in anger, may be unaware of the force in which he or she strikes the child. And believe me, I've experienced that for myself. Factors that can contribute to abuse include parents' immaturity or lack of parenting skills, unfortunate childhood experiences, and social loneliness, as well as frequent crisis situations and or domestic violence. According to the National Abuse and Neglect Data System, in 2005, an estimated 3.3 million reports of alleged abuse and or neglect involving approximately 6 million children were made to local child protective services. As estimated, 8,900 of these children were determined to be victims of abuse and neglect. Of these, 16.6% were determined to be victims of physical abuse. What should we look for in child abuse? Well, physical abuse would be suspected if explanations don't fit an injury, or if a pattern of occurrence is evident. The company of many injuries and stages of healing make it clear that the injuries do not all occur as one misfortune. When a child has a strong relationship with their abuser, feelings of betrayal could be that much greater. The victim would then feel that the abuser should be protecting them. Therefore, why are they the ones causing pain when they have no one to turn to? Feelings of abandonment start to occur, which would add the emotional trauma that comes along with the abuser. A physically abused child, for example, is often emotionally maltreated as well. And a sexually abused child may be also neglected. Any child at any age may experience any of the types of abuse. Children over age 5 are more likely to be physically abused and to suffer moderate injury than a child under age 5. There are certain signs you also look for in abuse situations, such as: is a child frequently absent from school, begs or steals for food and money, lacks needed medical or dental care, immunization, or glasses, is constantly dirty and has severe body odor, abuse alcohol or other drugs, states there is no one at home to provide care. So how do we make a difference? Well, you can learn from child abuse, educate yourself, and make sure your acquaintances know that they can get help if they find themselves in a situation where they become an abuser. It is often difficult for abusers to get help because they are afraid of losing their children and don't want to be judged by the people they know. But in all reality, this is sometimes needed, especially if it can be a dangerous situation for all and every aspect. Try and stop child abuse when you see it. If you have a problem or you have trouble identifying the difference between child abuse and accepting forms of discipline, take a look at the government's definition of child abuse. If you're concerned that a child may be abused, it's better to be safe than sorry. Here's what you can do. You can call the National Child Abuse Hotline. You can call your state's Department of Child Protective Service directly. If a child is in a life-threatening danger situation, you can call 911. Unfortunately, many bystanders witness child abuse and do nothing about it. Neighbors and friends may hear or even see child abuse happening, but don't want to intrude or interfere with the rights of parents. Such inaction can mean years of pain and heartache for young children who are unable to get out of a bad situation. Abused children need your intervention. In their helplessness, they must rely on capable adults who are willing to take a stand and get them out of the abusive environment. By being aware of child abuse and helping to educate the people you know, you can prevent child abuse in your community. Child abuse. Does anyone even care about this? Unless it happens in your life, the answer is no. Child abuse is like a disease. It will attack you emotionally, physically, and it self-replicates. Infection creates a downward spiral for generations. Each victim will most likely infect more and more victims. In order to fully understand the effects child abuse has on children, the effects of child abuse on victims are devastating and lifelong, and its effects on our society are persuasive. Still, it's difficult to measure the prevalence of abuse in our society. No attempts to measure so far have overcome abuse. As a child, I too have experienced what it's like to experience child abuse, and I can relate to many of these ordeals. I feel I have gone through all of this and have overcome a lot of this just by learning how to reach out for help. I was always very scared to talk about it and share with others. But the older I get, the easier it is for me to deal with. I always like to think that I may help someone else in the same situation.